Hey everyone, in this video we'll learn how to solve compound inequalities. So let's talk about simple inequalities first. Let's say we have 6 less than, or x less than 6x plus 1. So we know how to solve this one for x. We can just subtract 6x from both sides to isolate that x. And we have x minus negative 6, or x minus 6x, that's negative 5x, less than 1. And then we can go ahead and divide both sides by negative 5. And then remember, we're dividing both sides by a negative number. So this is x greater than negative 1 over 5. So we have to flip that inequality from less than to greater than. So we have this, x is greater than negative 1/5. And then on a number line, if we go ahead and graph it, let's go ahead and put 0 in the middle. Negative 1/5 here, negative 2/5, negative 3/5, and then 1/5 over here, 2/5, 3/5. And then if we go and graph this, well, where is negative 1/5? It's right here. So open circle or closed circle, it's going to be open because this is just a greater than. If it was a greater than or equal to, it would be closed. But it's just a greater than. There is no equal to bar under it, so an open circle. And which way do we go? Well, this is x greater than, so where are the greater numbers? They are to the right of the number line. And if it was a less than, it would be the other way, to the left, but greater than to the right of the number line. And there we go. That's how we plot it on number line. And how do we represent this in interval notation? Well, looking at our green number line, what is the minimum value here? The lowest value on this green number line. So what's the leftmost value? So if we go along this green arrow to the left, we have this, this open circle right here at negative 1/5. So we have negative 1/5. And remember, this is an open circle, so we're using a parentheses instead of a bracket. If it was a closed circle, we'd use a bracket. So just to show you, if it was a closed circle, then we'd use bracket 1/5. But it's not a closed circle, it's open. So we will use parentheses, negative 1/5, comma, and then all the way to the right is infinity. And then we will close that with a parentheses as well. And that's how we represent it using interval notation. That's how we represent the solution set to the inequality that we were given. So that's all for a simple inequality. Let's go ahead and erase all of this. And let's erase this as well. And let's say we were given a compound inequality. So let's go ahead and just move this over here. So a compound inequality, it's made up of more than one inequality. So we would have x, let me just make the inequality symbol orange. So x less than 6x plus 1, and x is also less than 5. And keep in mind how I'm reading it. I'm saying x is less than 5. Even though this looks like a greater than symbol, this can also be written, or this can be read left to right as 5 is greater than x. So 5 is greater than x is the same thing as x is less than 5. That's really important. So when you flip an inequality, you have to make sure you flip the inequality symbol as well. So 5 is greater than x. So if you wanted to flip the x and the 5, you have to make sure, or if you wanted to flip the x and the 5, you have to make sure that you flip the inequality as well. So 5 is greater than x is the same thing as x is less than 5. So that's really important. So this 5 is less than x, or 5 is greater than x, or x is less than 5, and also x is less than 6x plus 1. So we have this compound inequality right here. What makes a compound is that we have two inequality symbols. So how do we solve something like this? How do we solve compound inequalities? So what you want to do is you actually want to split it up into two simple inequalities. And how are we going to split this one? Well, we have 5 greater than x in green, and we have x greater than, or x less than 6x plus 1 in blue. So let's write that down. We have 5 greater than x was the green part. So that's the green part. And then the blue part is x is less than 6x plus 1. And then we can just solve these inequalities for x. So how do we solve this one for x? Let's start with this one. 5 is greater than x. Let's actually flip it. Let's just flip these. So this is the same thing as x is less than 5. As we've mentioned before, when you flip the inequality, you also have to flip the symbol as well. 5 greater than x is the same thing as saying as x is less than 5. Those two mean the same thing. So we have x is less than 5 right here. That's part of the solution. And now let's go ahead and move on to this inequality on the right, and let's solve for x. So very similar to the simple inequality we started with at the beginning of the video. We'll just subtract 6x from both sides, and that's negative 5x is less than 1. And then to finally solve for x, you divide both sides by negative 5. Since we're dividing both sides by a negative number, don't forget to flip the inequality from a less than a greater than. So from a less than to a greater than right here. So greater than negative 1 over 5. Okay, so we're very close. We've actually found two pieces of the solution. So right here we have x is less than 5, and over here we have x is greater than negative 1/5. So how do we represent this on a number line? Well, first, before the number line, how do we represent the solution in compound form? So what we want to do is we want to put an x in the middle, and let's write this one out first. X is less than 5. So x is less than 5, okay? And how do I write this? X is greater than negative 1/5. So x is greater than negative 1/5. If you flip this, so if you go ahead and flip these, this is the same thing as saying negative 1/5 is less than x. So we can put this part in here too. We can put negative 1/5 is less than x. And there we go. Let's just make that orange. Let's make this one orange as well. So in the end, we have negative 1/5 is less than x, which is less than 5. And that is our compound solution. Now, how do we represent this solution on a number line? How do we graph it on the number line? So let's go ahead and draw our number line. And let's put a 0 in the middle. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, dot, 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 dot. Okay. So we have this compound solution right here. Negative 1/5 is less than x, and x is less than 5. So how do we deal with this? So let's go back to our two solutions we came up with. X is less than 5. So x is less than 5. Let's start with that. How do we graph that on the number line? Well, we know how to do that. We're going to find 5, which is right here. We're going to use an open circle because it's a less than. It's not a less than or equal to. It's just a less than. And x is less than 5. So the numbers that are less are to the left. So we will draw an arrow pointing to the left. And now let's go on to this one right here. X is greater than negative 1/5. So let's do the same thing. X is greater than negative 1/5. Negative 1/5 is somewhere between 0 and negative 1. Let's say it's right here, negative 1/5. So we will use an open circle. And which part is greater than? So x is greater than negative 1/5 is what we said. What side is greater than? Well, it's this way. Okay, so we kind of have, and let me actually just change the position of this circle. So we'll put the open circle just right above here. Okay, and now you have to look at both of these in order to combine them. You want to see what these two lines have in common. So these two lines, as you can see right here, they have this piece in common. Both of these lines go across this piece from negative 1/5 to 5. So let's actually just draw a new line. Let's draw a new line, both with open-ended circles. Let me actually erase this. Let's draw a new line above here. So we'll draw a new line in orange, both with open-ended circles, and we will draw a line between them. Let me just draw that line again. And there we go. That new orange line that we drew, that is the real solution set. Let me actually just move it down a bit. Right here. Right here. And there we go. That's how we represent this compound inequality. So negative 1/5 is less than, or negative 1/5 is less than x, which is less than 5. And that is how we graph that inequality, or the solution to this inequality, on a number line. Great, and now let's use interval notation to represent the solution set. So interval notation, our lowest number on this orange line is negative 1/5, so negative 1/5. And we have an open circle because we're not including negative 1/5. So an open circle, we're going to use a parentheses, comma, and then the largest number, the rightmost number on this number line is 5. So we have a 5, and again we have an open circle, so we'll use a parentheses as well. And that is how we represent the solution set using interval notation. So this ultimately is the solution to our original compound inequality. 5 is greater than x, which is less, and x is less than 6x plus 1. And that is how we solve that compound inequality. I really hope this video helps, and if you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments below, and thank you for watching.